All right, we're going from your third pick here with one of the most predictable teams to your fourth
Yeah.
pick here, a team that's been pretty unpredictable in the draft, but
Yeah.
general manager Brad Holmes has let us know that actually I know what I'm doing in the draft, and he's been right, and he's let us know he's right, and good for him too.
Yeah, seriously. I say, talk your talk if you're Brad Holmes, right? So I'm with Darius Robinson, an edge from Missouri. This guy was a defensive tackle early in his career at Missouri. He slimmed down to like 285 pounds. He's super versatile, though. I mean, you'd imagine a guy who goes from defensive tackle to defensive end's got some versatility to him, and he showed that during his final season at Missouri. He showed it again down at the Senior Bowl when he was lining up all over the defensive front and one-on-one drills, and it pretty much didn't make a difference. No one could really block this guy. And if I think I know the Lions well, one thing I do believe is that they're going to draft a player in the first round that's got some nastiness to him, has an edge to him. No pun intended here in drafting an edge with an edge. But Darius Robinson, I mean this in a manner of respect and positivity, is just kind of he's just a monstrous, just like wants to eat you up defensive end. Tough, physical, unafraid to engage bigger players than him. Maybe that's the defensive tackle in him who was used to lining up against 320-pound guards every single snap. But he plays with some serious force. May not be the most explosive edge rusher in the class, but the Lions, despite signing Marcus Davenport, really need to keep that pass rush depth going. This past year, obviously, Aiden Hutchinson took another step forward, which is a scary thought for the league. But I don't know that I would want to trust Marcus Davenport as my every down second rusher, given the fact that, unfortunately, one of the stories of his career is pretty good when he plays, but often not available on the field.
Yeah, this seems like just such a clear need for Detroit, right? Where, like you said, Aiden Hutchinson took that leap last year. Was just, I mean, that guy's so fun to watch. I mean, like, he's pterodactyl out there, man. He's like hawking over offensive linemen. It's pretty incredible. But they even in free agency, not only they add Marcus Davenport, they also add DJ Reader, kind of double downing on that. Like, hey, we stopped the run here in Detroit. Like, you are not going to run on us. But that second edge rusher, or even just a guy that they can rotate in there, still feels like a clear-cut need for this defense to get where I think they want to go. Obviously, they showed last year they were, a Brandon Ayuk fingertip away from a Super Bowl. They can get there with this group, but I think taking that next step involves being better on defense.
Totally. And cornerback not to be ignored here as well.
Sure.
As a matter of fact, it'll come down to corner or edge for me in my second mock draft. And that cornerback situation was only, the need for corners only picked up after the really scary and unfortunate situation involving Cam Sutton, who has now been released amidst legal troubles. So if there are Lions fans out there that are listening to this right now screaming, but what about cornerback? I can promise you cornerback will be heavily considered in round one as well.
And hey, that's why you need to click on Field Yates' 2-round mock draft. Because there we go. All right, your final pick here, Field, your final 5 player to team fit that you absolutely love.
Yeah, I'm starting to wonder whether this guy has any chance of being available this late in the draft, but it's Amarius Mims going 31st overall to the 49ers. If you don't know, the Cliff Notes version of Amarius Mims is this. We are talking about a freakishly large human who I'm not sure how he moves as well as he does. We're talking 6'6", 320 some pounds, light on his feet, can really bend. Was a right tackle for Georgia, but as you know, obviously Georgia's had a lot of good offensive linemen in recent seasons. Last year they had Broderick Jones, who was a first round pick. I mean, these things happen at those top schools, right? Where guys don't slide through the cracks. They just have to wait their turn because they're a 5-star replacing another 5-star. But Amarius Mims, between the depth at Georgia and also some injuries, which he has battled, was limited to a total of 803 snaps his entire career. So some perspective on that, Matt, is that's fewer snaps than Joe Alt played all of last season. So we're talking about basically 1 year worth of playing time for Amarius Mims and 3 college seasons. And big fan of the game, and I think he's got a ton of upside. But the reason why I didn't have his name called earlier is just because there are some question marks in terms of the inexperience and not being as available. If you're the 49ers, you re-sign Colton McKivitz to a 1-year extension through 2024, you might be able to say to yourself, this is not quite a redshirt type player, but a guy that if he's not ready to go next year, that's okay by us because they're one of the few teams that can afford to draft a player and not rely heavily on him because this is one of the best rosters in the entire NFL.
Well, this is why I really wanted to do the show, to see like where we get smart people agreeing. And Nate Tice actually had this one on last week's show too, where he actually had the Niners trading up for Amarius Mims. So that's pretty cool to see.
That might be what it takes.
Yeah, I mean, because it might have to come to that, but I agree. He's a guy that really makes a lot of sense as someone that they need. They need to get bigger, more fundamentally sound too. And the thing that sold it to me was Nate kind of explaining that he could see Mims being not just a guy that maybe they do get on the field later in his rookie season, but even the long-term replacement for Trent Williams if he develops into a guy that's like, I mean, because Field, like, there are all kinds of weapons on the 49ers. The one guy they really weaponize in a unique way is Trent Williams at left tackle. Yeah. I feel like they need that succession plan there in place.
Yeah, and Mims could play either side, like Nate said. He's played right tackle in part because Georgia's had better options, has had available options at left tackle. But there's not much about his skill set that makes me think he wouldn't be able to get there. It just would have to be after Trent Williams retires, which it feels like right now every year is a decision for Trent. Do I come back? Do I hang him up and wait 5 years to be inducted into the Hall of Fame? But that is certainly the kind of player that we are talking about in Trent Williams out in San Francisco.